Well, thank you for that introduction, and thank you for having me along this evening. I've never been to Glastonbury, but I don't think this is what I imagined it being like, to be honest. But I'm sure it'll be just as fun in slightly different ways. It's been a busy few weeks for me, as it has been for everyone working for the new Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, and having been appointed to lead for him on housing, what's been really at the heart of everything that I've been doing is, as was teed up by my double act partner just before, is for me to get around and meet everyone in London who is involved in building the homes that Londoners need. And that means talking to councils, housing associations, developers, businesses, investors and central government to make sure that we work together to build the homes of all different sorts that Londoners need. And to me it's been really clear in having all these conversations over the last few weeks that from everyone I've been speaking to, we in London realise how much we have in common about the fundamentals of what we need to get London building. I mean, it goes without saying that everyone agrees about the scale of the problem that we face. Everyone agrees that London needs new homes to continue its social and economic success. And everyone agrees that as Londoners, we must work together to rise to the scale of the challenge that we face. But those are words, what does it actually mean? And I realise I've probably only got about 8 minutes. I'll try and push that time limit a bit. But I'm going to focus on a few headlines rather than go through every single detail of what we're going to do. But I would like to point out that when we talk about working together, that means us working together to ensure greater levels of investment from all sources which are channeled into building new housing and the associated infrastructure it needs. It means that we need an effective and modern approach to how we use land, including ways to ensure that more public land is brought forward for new and affordable housing. And it means that we have to have a clear and efficient pro-growth planning system that delivers decisions in good time with certainty for the industry and that builds the homes that Londoners need. So to get into a bit more of the detail, what might this look like over the coming years? Well, when we talk about getting funding right for London, we talk about investment, that has to start with getting the right funding settlement from government, and it has to be a settlement which recognises the scale of the challenge that we face in London. You know, I won't bore you with all the statistics about how bad the housing situation is for many people in London, but just two things jump out at me. You know, London is the only place in the UK where less than half of households own their own home, and home ownership has fallen at twice the national rate. London is also the place where private rents are now double the national average, and they have risen 7 times as fast as national earnings over the last 6 years. And so whilst home ownership remains the aspiration of most Londoners, because of the high cost of housing here, any investment from government needs to recognise the need for sub-market rent alongside a range of routes into home ownership for first-time buyers. We need to make sure that we're using public money intelligently to bring forward development and to bring forward other forms of investment, making sure we invest in the infrastructure to unlock the new opportunities and making the case for London to keep more of its own resources to reinvest in housing for the future. Now, when we talk about having an effective approach to land, what do we mean? Well, in the public sector, we should start with public sector land to prove that we can actually bring that forward and build some homes. And I think that whilst the strategy there will start with Transport for London being the agency that the Mayor of London has the most direct control over, it will also involve working with the NHS and with Network Rail and other public bodies. And there has been an important start made on this with the London Land Commission, which did a very good job in mapping all of the public sector land holdings in London. However, it did just map all of them, and it includes a really prime brownfield residential opportunity called number 10 Downing Street on its list of potential opportunities. So I think what we need to do in terms of making sure that people have confidence in us to bring forward public land is to move from the mapping exercise which the London Land Commission has done into a programme where the GLA can work with the public sector authorities to bring forward land which is genuinely surplus to requirement and get building homes on it quickly. But public land, as we all know, won't solve all of our problems, and so we need to work with Londoners and with the industry to get the right long-term approaches to both increasing the supply of land and to building more homes on that land that comes forward, and that means well-designed, high-density solutions to London's housing needs. And it does also mean, in the coming years, that City Hall might need to take a more active role in helping to bring land to market, and so we're going to be looking keenly and carefully at any of the opportunities that might come forward as part of the new legislation announced in the Queen's speech. And finally, when we talk about a clear pro-growth planning policy, what do we mean? Well, it starts with getting more capacity in town halls and at City Hall to make sure that we can bring forward planning applications quicker and get them processed. It also means that we have a planning system that recognises new opportunities such as build to rent, which need their own treatment sometimes in the planning system to support them to grow. And of course it means we need to be clear about the role that the planning will play in securing more affordable housing. Now, we have a long-term strategic goal, which has been spoken about, of moving toward having 50% of new homes being affordable. And let me be really clear that we know this is going to come from a variety of sources, with different sites making different contributions, and with the planning system and our affordable housing funds working together to produce more affordable homes. And we know that turning housing around in London is not going to happen overnight. I mean, everyone in this room, I'm sure, will know that making our plans a reality will be a marathon, not a sprint. But we are ambitious, and we are committed to building more homes for Londoners to buy and rent. And so we've already started work on an approach that will help us move towards our goal, whilst also bringing consistency and certainty for the development industry. So that means, for instance, looking at greater clarity over the viability assessment process, being ambitious but practical about how we move in the direction that we've set, and making sure that more development comes through more quickly than before. Now, before I end, just since someone earlier mentioned Brexit, I will just refer to it very briefly. I spoke about it being a marathon, not a sprint, in terms of what we want to do. And at the risk of really torturing that analogy to death, I would say if you're going to run an analogy, it needs to be run at a sustained, steady and certain pace, and it shouldn't be knocked off course by anything early on. And in my mind, there is no doubt that the uncertainty and risk of leaving the European Union would be a blow to our housing ambitions, and that is certainly something none of us in London can afford. So it remains me simply to wrap up by saying thank you for having me along tonight. Thank you for giving me the chance to set out clearly some of our priorities over the next few years. And let me end by saying that I am here to work with you. I will stay around and have a chat with you afterwards. I should warn you, I don't have any business cards. I said this in my first week. I said they're being printed, I'll have them by next week. The second week, the joke's wearing a bit thin. Now it's just really annoying. But I can take your business cards and have a conversation with you, which is what I want to do, because I'm here to work with you, and I want us to work together to build the homes that Londoners need. Thank you.